trying to stop my First Amendment right. I will.
Goodbye, sir.
I will. When was the first warning? When was the first? I will continue to engage. No, I and you're a coward. You are a huge coward because you will not protect women.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So with all the schools that have forfeited against San Jose State, even schools that have forfeited twice, such as Boise State and Wyoming, there were still schools that continue to compete against SJSU. They go ahead and compete despite the fact that this team has a male player. Those teams include Air Force Academy, New Mexico, and San Diego State University. The match took place yesterday between San Diego State and SJSU, and I'm happy to say that there were a lot of people who came out in support of women's sports. There were a lot of people who came out in support of female athletes. And we know what happened at Air Force Academy. One man wearing a t-shirt saying "Keep women's sports female" was asked to leave or to cover up his shirt or remove it.
Political. We don't do anything political here.
How is this political?
It's obvious.
How is this
I don't
political?
need to explain it to you. You know what it is. Okay? And there's a reason that you wore it today.
Those were his options. Never mind First Amendment rights. Never mind the fact that it's just a t-shirt. And no, it's not violence. But as you can imagine, security has been heightened at these matches because players like Brooks Lusser have received death threats. But rather than focus on safety, it appears that some of the staff members who are at these schools are more concerned about infringing upon people's First Amendment rights, are more concerned about people chanting support for female athletes, support for women's sports. So we had a staff member at San Diego State confront a fan. He accused this person of infringing upon their First Amendment rights, and this fan accused this staff member of being a coward because he doesn't stand up for women. The San Jose State women's volleyball team lost to San Diego State on Saturday. SJSU transgender player Blair Fleming attracted a record crowd, a good portion of which were advocates for women's rights in sports, who made known their stance against Fleming's participation. It was that outspoken advocacy for protecting women's sports that eventually caught the attention of SDSU staff members. According to a security member at Peterson Gym in San Diego, the average attendance at SDSU volleyball matches was around 100. The crowd on Saturday appeared to be 3 times larger. The larger than normal crowd was humming about a 6'1" trans player visiting San Diego to take on the female Aztecs. A Save Women's Sports banner made an appearance, and this is in San Diego. Now, as we know from the recent election, California is more red than people realize. I mean, we've always known that there's a lot of conservatives in California, and they made their presence known at the recent election. They certainly did. I think they're still counting though, because, unfortunately, that's the way things are done in California. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. During the match, several attendees, including SDSU's campus Turning Point staff members, led No Men in Women's Sports chants. SDSU staff were on high alert for forms of hate speech during Fleming's visit. Now, how on earth would they have handled this at Air Force Academy? This was one guy, he was pretty inconspicuous, really, wearing a Keep Women's Sports Female t-shirt that was under his hoodie, even. Look at the way they treated him. I don't think for a second they'll be able to handle this. That's for sure. Because they weren't just wearing t-shirts, they were chanting, and they had a clear message. The security member, who has worked at several Aztec sporting events, stated that the fans did not violate any guidelines. An attendee in the opposing bleachers sitting at SDSU staff complained to security about the chanting fans, trying to have them removed. Of course, that the person was masked. Now I notice, I love seeing this, but I noticed that the police were just standing there watching the exchange between the fan, I'm assuming is probably a dad, and the member of staff. The police were just standing there, on the side, just making sure that everything was okay, that nothing escalated, but they did not intervene. They allowed the exchange to take place, Because people have the right to say what they want to say. People have the right to object and say, I don't agree with this. That is not a criminal offence. That doesn't mean that you should now, after you've paid for your ticket, should be removed. Especially when you're not actually disrupting anything. This is a sporting event. People are going to be chanting. So that doesn't disrupt anything. Now, yeah, of course, I acknowledge that it might hurt the person's feelings to know that there's people in the crowd saying that we don't agree with you being on the team, we don't agree with you playing against female athletes. But that's something that comes along when you decide to compete against females knowing that you're male. Again, I don't care how somebody identifies. Male was male, female was female. Sports has categories for a reason. And I don't want to see another female athlete in the same position as Peyton McNabb. She was let down. And we don't need to see any more female athletes let down in a similar manner. Good to see the San Diego police here understanding that they don't have to overstep their mark. Guarantee you, if a group of trans activists showed up saying trans women are women, this woman wouldn't have anything to say about it. That would be fine. So during the penultimate set, SDSU's Associate Athletic Director of Operations, Dave Knoll, approached one of the fans leading the chants. SDSU's Turning Point chapter identified the attendee as Patrick Hugera. Knoll approached the bleachers to reach Hugera's seat, accompanied by venue security. The SDSU staff were informed Hugera that he violated Mountain West Conference guidelines by leading chants that promoted keeping men out of women's sports. Knoll positioned himself face to face with Hugera. Shame on you for not protecting women, Hugera said to Knoll, which was very beautiful to hear. So SDSU, they released a statement about the incident, about the event that took place on Saturday and all of the chanting and everything. So they said our staff are trained to intervene in interactions in which there are disruptions, complaints, or reported concerns which occurred, and guidelines and policies are in place that help to ensure a safe environment for our student athletes, staff, and guests. Our athletic events are opportunities to support our teams, celebrate our community, and set a positive example for our student athletes and guests. Poor behaviour, including disrespectful language, taunting, and any unsportsmanlike conduct, does not reflect the values we uphold, including the Mountain West Conference's sportsmanship guidelines, and undermines the positive spirit of the game. So during the match, Fleming had 15 recorded kills. They're now at 13-4, with the squad benefiting from multiple forfeits as teams opted not to play against SJSU and Fleming. And we know about Boise and Wyoming forfeiting twice. Jim Desmond, member of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors, urged SDSU to forfeit in solidarity with women refusing to compete against Fleming. And yes, I urge San Diego to forfeit. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You need to be forfeiting. Enough is enough of this. But it's up to the girls. It's up to them. So San Diego are currently 3-0 against the Spartans this season. In their last face-off, Fleming spiked a fastball, which forcibly hit an SDSU player in the face.
Fleming with a massive blow from the back row and a good job getting it back up by Heron. Slusser sets left. And it's Brooke Bryan able to get the point. Kira Heron hasn't peeked in her ear, and her face is starting to look like she's matching that, as obviously took the contact, but also got to feel a little embarrassed as she's trying to laugh off that last ball.
So in 2022, this person, previously known as Braden, joined San Jose State University's team, and the true biological sex of this person was concealed. And we know that Melissa Batty-Smooth, in her Title IX complaint, has said that this person is given preferential treatment. And the school ended up suspending, or essentially firing, Melissa for making a Title IX complaint showing concerns for the female athletes in the fact that this school has allowed a transgender player to be on the team. Showing concern for the female athletes who have expressed fear when training with this person, for fear of getting hit by the ball after it's been spiked. And we know that males hit harder than women. That's a fact. So we know about the NCAA lawsuit, and Fleming's teammate, Brooke Slusser, is a part of this lawsuit. The lawsuit states that the NCAA's policies violate Title IX by allowing male athletes who identify as transgender to compete in women's sports and use women's locker rooms. The lawsuit also asks the NCAA to revoke any titles or records won by transgender female athletes in women's competitions. So we shall see how this story unfolds. Are more teams going to join the forfeit? It really isn't too late. It's not too late to be part of this revolution, to be part of this whole movement to save women's sports. And thankfully, Title IX is likely to be restored to its original purpose with the election of Donald Trump. I'm hoping that things can return to normal. Yes, that's right, normal, because this isn't normal. It really isn't. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.